I always thought marriage was for life, at least until Netflix added the divorce section to my viewing history without my permission. That should have been my first clue that Clarissa had already mentally checked out of our 12-year marriage, but I was too busy being the dutiful husband to notice the signs. My name is Sam Grady, and I'm a 41-year-old real estate broker in Laurel Ridge, one of those suffocating suburban communities where everyone knows your business before you do. I've got a reputation for dry sarcasm that either makes people laugh or makes them want to punch me in the face, usually both. It was December 20th when my wife Clary dropped the Christmas ultimatum that would change everything. "I'm tired of pretending with your family, Sam," she announced, not looking up from her phone where she was crafting another perfectly filtered Instagram post. "I'm not going to Christmas dinner this year." I paused in the middle of wrapping presents, studying her carefully. Clary was 35, blonde, and still turned heads when she walked into a room. She ran a social media marketing business from our home office, which meant she spent most of her day creating fake happiness for other people's brands. "What do you mean pretending?" I asked, though part of me already knew the answer would hurt. "You know exactly what I mean. Your sister Dana acts like she's the queen of the family. Your mother Ruth makes those passive-aggressive comments about my career, and frankly, I'm just done with all of it." The thing about Clary was that she wasn't entirely wrong. My family could be a handful. Dana, my 39-year-old sister, did have a tendency to orchestrate family gatherings like she was directing a Broadway show, and Mom had never fully warmed to Clary's social media career, often making comments about real jobs and contributing to society. But this felt different. This felt like an excuse. "Fine," I said, surprising her with my calm response. "I understand completely." She looked up from her phone for the first time in the conversation, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows raised. "You do?" "Absolutely. Family can be overwhelming. You should take some time for yourself." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. What I didn't tell her was that I'd already made alternative plans. 3 days earlier, I'd run into Zoe Harper at the grocery store. Zoe was 29, worked in marketing like Clary, but had a wicked sense of humor and didn't seem to take herself too seriously. We'd flirted harmlessly over the produce section, and when she mentioned she'd be alone for Christmas, I'd impulsively invited her to join my family dinner. I know how that sounds, but at that point, I wasn't thinking about revenge or making a statement. I was just tired of making excuses for my wife's absence and wanted to enjoy Christmas with someone who actually wanted to be there. Christmas Day arrived with the kind of crisp winter weather that makes everything look like a Hallmark movie. I picked up Zoe at her apartment, and she showed up wearing a red sweater that brought out her dark hair and carrying homemade cookies for my family. "You sure about this?" she asked as we pulled into my parents' driveway. "I feel like I'm about to walk into a soap opera episode." "Trust me," I said. "You have no idea how right you are." The dinner was actually wonderful. Zoe charmed my parents with stories from her marketing job, helped Dana with the dishes without being asked, and laughed at all my dad's terrible jokes. For the first time in months, I remembered what it felt like to enjoy someone's company without walking on eggshells. Dana, being Dana, couldn't resist documenting every moment. She took dozens of photos, posting them to Facebook and Instagram with captions like "Family Christmas Magic" and "So grateful for everyone who chose to be here." That last caption was definitely a dig at Clary, and we all knew it. Around 10 that evening, my phone started buzzing with missed calls from my wife. Then the texts started coming in rapid succession. "What the hell, Sam? Who is that woman in the photos? Call me now. This is so embarrassing. Everyone is asking me questions." I showed the messages to Zoe, who read them with growing amusement. "Wow," she said. "She's really upset that you had fun without her." Apparently so. We decided to call it a night, and I drove Zoe home, both of us laughing about Dana's dramatic photo captions and my mother's surprisingly enthusiastic approval of my new friend. But when I pulled into my driveway at 11:30, there was a red Mustang parked across the street that I recognized immediately. It belonged to Marcus Lane, a 37-year-old life coach who lived in the expensive part of Laurel Ridge and spent most of his time at the gym posting motivational quotes on social media. I sat in my car for a moment, watching the house. Through the living room window, I could see two figures in what appeared to be a heated discussion. Clary's voice was raised, though I couldn't make out the words. That's when it hit me. The reason she didn't want to come to Christmas dinner. The reason she'd been distant for months. The reason she was suddenly so concerned about pretending with my family. My wife was having an affair with Marcus Lane. I sat there in my driveway, engine running, trying to process this revelation. Part of me wanted to storm inside and confront them both. Part of me wanted to drive away and pretend I'd never seen anything. Instead, I did something that would prove to be much more valuable in the long run. I took out my phone and started recording. The next morning, Clary acted like nothing had happened. She made coffee, checked her social media accounts, and asked me casually how dinner had gone with my family. It was nice, I said, watching her carefully. Everyone asked about you, of course. I'm sure they did. Her tone was light, but I caught the slight tightening around her eyes. Dana's photos were interesting. She was just documenting the family gathering. You know how she is. What I didn't mention was that Dana had called me at 7 in the morning, practically vibrating with curiosity about Zoe and demanding to know what the hell was going on with my marriage. I'd managed to deflect her questions, but I knew my sister well enough to know she wouldn't let this go. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention to Clary's patterns. She'd always been glued to her phone, but now I noticed she was stepping outside to take certain calls. She'd started going to the gym more often, the same gym where Marcus worked as a trainer. She was coming home later, claiming she'd been having drinks with her friends Tessa and Julia. I knew Tessa and Julia. They were part of Clary's social media crowd, always posting pictures of their girls' nights out and their perfectly curated lives. Tessa was particularly fond of Instagram stories that documented her every meal, workout, and profound thought. Julia was quieter, but equally devoted to maintaining her online image. On December 28th, I got the confirmation I'd been dreading. I was at Pete's Bar, a dive establishment that served as my refuge from the manicured perfection of Laurel Ridge. Pete Martinez had been bartending there for 15 years and had become something of a confidant over the years. He had the kind of face that made people want to tell him their problems, and the wisdom to usually keep his mouth shut about what he heard. "You look like someone stole your dog," Pete said, sliding a beer across the bar to me. "Worse. Someone stole my wife." "Ah, hell. You sure about that?" Before I could answer, my phone rang. It was Clary, but when I answered, I realized she'd pocket-dialed me. I was about to hang up when I heard her voice clearly through the speaker. "I'm telling you, Tessa, he's getting suspicious. Did you see those photos Dana posted? He brought some woman to Christmas dinner just to spite me." "Calm down," came Tessa's voice. "So what if he's suspicious? You've been careful, right?" "Of course I've been careful. But Marcus is getting impatient. He wants me to just tell Sam everything and be done with it." "And what did you tell him?" "That I'm not ready yet. Sam's got the house, the business connections, the family money. I can't just walk away from that without a plan." This wasn't just about an affair. This was about calculated deception. Tessa's voice came through clearly. "Well, you better figure it out soon, because if Marcus is as good in bed as you keep telling me, you don't want to lose him to someone who's actually available." They both laughed, and I heard Clary respond, "Trust me, after 12 years of boring missionary position with Sam, Marcus is like discovering fire. The things that man can do with his—" I hung up, my hands shaking with rage. Pete had been watching my face during the entire conversation. That bad, huh? Worse than I thought. What are you going to do about it? That was the million-dollar question. The old Sam would have confronted Clary directly, probably leading to a screaming match that would end with her denying everything and me looking like the jealous, paranoid husband. But I wasn't feeling like the old Sam anymore. I'm going to be smart about it, I told Pete. Over the next week, I started gathering evidence. I installed a security camera app on my phone and positioned it to record the living room when I left for work. I started paying attention to the neighbors' Ring doorbells, particularly Mrs. Chen's, which had a perfect view of our driveway. I also started spending more time with Zoe, which wasn't exactly a hardship. She was funny, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in my thoughts and opinions. More importantly, she didn't make me feel like I was walking through a minefield every time I opened my mouth. But Clary wasn't going down without a fight. On January 5th, I got a call from my boss at the real estate firm. "Sam, we need to talk. Can you come in early today?" When I arrived at the office, I found my boss, Janet Williams, sitting at her desk with a very serious expression and a manila folder in front of her. "Sam, I've received some disturbing allegations about your conduct with clients. Specifically, there have been suggestions of inappropriate behavior during property showings." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. "What kind of allegations?" "The complaint suggests that you've been making female clients uncomfortable with personal comments and unnecessary physical contact. I have to suspend you pending a full investigation." "Who made this complaint?" Janet looked uncomfortable. "I can't reveal that information, but I will say that it came from someone who claimed to have witnessed the behavior firsthand." As I cleaned out my desk, my mind was racing. I had never behaved inappropriately with a client, ever, but someone had made it sound convincing enough that Janet felt she had no choice but to act. When I got home, Clary was in the kitchen making lunch, humming softly to herself. "You're home early," she said without looking up. "I've been suspended." Now she looked up, and I could swear I saw a flash of satisfaction in her eyes before she arranged her features into an expression of concern. "Oh no, Sam. What happened?" "Someone made false allegations about my conduct with clients." "That's terrible. Who would do such a thing?" I studied her face carefully. "I have no idea, but I'm sure the truth will come out eventually." That evening, I called Mrs. Chen and asked if I could review the footage from her Ring doorbell over the past few weeks. She was happy to help, especially when I mentioned that I was concerned about some suspicious activity in the neighborhood. What I found was even more damning than I'd expected. Not only were there multiple recordings of Marcus's Mustang in my driveway during work hours, but there was also footage of Clary, Tessa, and Julia having what appeared to be a very serious conversation on my front porch 3 days before I was suspended. The audio wasn't clear enough to make out words, but the body language told the story. Tessa was taking notes on her phone while Clary gestured emphatically. Julia kept looking around nervously, as if making sure no one was watching. I had my smoking gun. But before I could decide how to use it, I got a phone call that changed everything. "Sam, this is your mother. We need to talk." My mother's voice on the phone had that particular tone that meant someone was about to get a lecture they'd remember for the rest of their lives. "Can it wait until tomorrow, Mom? It's been a long day." "No, it cannot wait. I'm coming over right now." 20 minutes later, Ruth Grady was sitting in my living room, her silver hair perfectly styled despite the fact that it was 8 o'clock at night. At 65, my mother was still a formidable woman who had raised 2 children largely on her own after my father's heart attack when I was 16. "Samuel," she began, using my full name the way she had when I was in trouble as a kid, "what exactly is going on with your marriage?" "What do you mean?" "Don't play dumb with me. Dana showed me the photos from Christmas, and now the whole neighborhood is talking about you bringing some young woman to family dinner while your wife was nowhere to be found." I felt a surge of irritation. Clary chose not to come to Christmas dinner. I invited a friend so I wouldn't have to spend the holiday alone. A friend. Mom's tone could have frozen water. Sam, people are starting to talk. Mrs. Patterson saw you with this girl at the grocery store, holding hands like teenagers. The Hendersons saw you kissing her goodnight on their front porch last week. So you're a married man, and you're making a spectacle of yourself. That's when something inside me snapped. You want to know what's making a spectacle, Mom? How about the fact that my wife has been screwing Marcus Lane for God knows how long? How about the fact that she's been planning to leave me, but wants to figure out how to take as much of my money as possible first? How about the fact that someone, and I have a pretty good idea who, made false accusations about me at work that got me suspended? My mother's face went pale. Sam, that's a very serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's a fact. I have recordings, Mom. I have video evidence. My wife is cheating on me, and she's trying to destroy my reputation so she can claim I'm an unfit husband when she files for divorce. For a moment, my mother was speechless. Then she did something that surprised me. She started crying. I'm so sorry, Sam. I had no idea it was this bad. What do you mean you had no idea? What did you think was happening? Mom wiped her eyes with a tissue from her purse. Clary called me last week. She said you were having some kind of midlife crisis, that you were acting erratically, and she was worried about your mental state. She said you'd been inappropriate with some of your female clients and that she was afraid you might be having an affair. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. She got to you first. She was very convincing, Sam. She seemed genuinely concerned about you, and you believed her. I didn't know what to believe, but when I saw those photos from Christmas, I thought maybe she was right. Maybe you were having some kind of breakdown. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. The only thing breaking down is my marriage, Mom, and apparently my wife is a lot smarter than I gave her credit for. The next morning, I decided it was time to stop playing defense and start playing offense. My first call was to a lawyer. My second call was to a private investigator. My third call was to Zoe. I need your help with something, I told her, but it's going to get messy. How messy are we talking? The kind of messy that ends up on social media. Zoe was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. Sam, honey, I work in social media. Messy is my specialty. We met at a coffee shop in the next town over, where I laid out everything I knew about Clary's affair and her campaign to destroy my reputation. Okay, Zoe said when I finished. That's genuinely awful. But what do you want to do about it? I want to beat her at her own game. Which is? Public humiliation. Zoe grinned. Now you're speaking my language. Our first target was Marcus Lane. According to his social media profiles, which Zoe had pulled up on her laptop, Marcus was obsessed with his image. His Instagram was full of shirtless gym selfies, motivational quotes, and pictures of his beloved red Mustang. He had over 10,000 followers who hung on his every word about fitness, success, and living your best life. He's got an ego the size of Texas, Zoe observed. That makes him vulnerable. What do you have in mind? Well, for starters, we need to document his relationship with your wife, but we need to do it in a way that he can't deny or spin. That afternoon, we followed Marcus to the gym where he worked. Sure enough, Clary showed up 20 minutes later, wearing workout clothes that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. From the parking lot, we watched them through the windows. They weren't being particularly subtle. Marcus was giving Clary very hands-on training, and she was giggling like a teenager. At one point, he pulled her into what was clearly a passionate kiss behind the free weights. Got it, Zoe said, lowering her phone. High-definition video of them making out in a public gym. This is going to be good. But we weren't done yet. After their workout, Marcus and Clary went to the parking lot where they had what appeared to be a heated argument next to his Mustang. We were too far away to hear the words, but their body language told the story. Clary was gesturing angrily, Marcus was defensive, and at one point, she actually shoved him. "Trouble in paradise," I murmured. "Even better," Zoe said, still recording. "Nothing says true love like a screaming match in a gym parking lot." That evening, I created an anonymous social media account and posted the video to the Laurel Ridge neighborhood Facebook group with the caption, "Saw this at the gym today. Isn't that Marcus Lane, the life coach? And isn't that woman married to someone else?" The response was immediate and explosive. Within an hour, the post had dozens of comments and shares. People were tagging their friends, speculating about the identity of the woman, and generally having the time of their lives with the drama. My phone started ringing around 9 o'clock. It was Clary, and she was furious. "Did you post that video?" "What video?" "Don't lie to me, Sam. Someone posted a video of me and Marcus at the gym, and I know it was you." "Clary, I've been home all evening. You can check the security cameras if you want." Which was technically true. I had been home when I posted the video. I just hadn't mentioned that I'd recorded it earlier in the day. "This is harassment, Sam. I could have you arrested for this." "For what? I didn't post anything. And even if I had, you were in a public place. There's no expectation of privacy in a gym parking lot." She hung up on me, but I could almost hear the wheels turning in her head. She knew I was onto her, and she knew I wasn't going to back down. The war was officially on. The next few days were a masterclass in suburban warfare. Clary and her allies were working overtime to control the narrative, while I was quietly gathering more evidence and planning my next moves. Dana called me on Thursday morning, practically vibrating with excitement. "Sam, you need to tell me what's going on. The whole neighborhood is talking about that video, and I heard through the grapevine that it might be Clary in it." "I don't know anything about any video," I said, which was becoming my standard response. "Don't give me that. Mom told me about your conversation the other night. Is Clary really cheating on you?" I sighed. There was no point in lying to Dana. She'd find out the truth eventually anyway. "Yes, with Marcus Lane, the life coach." "That muscle-bound idiot?" "Sam, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do?" "I'm working on it." "Do you need help? Because I have some ideas." That was Dana for you. Always ready to jump into the fray, especially when it involved family drama. "Actually, there is something you could help me with." "Name it." "I need you to invite Clary to lunch, somewhere public, and I need you to ask her about the rumors that are going around." "You want me to confront her?" "I want you to give her a chance to lie to your face, and I want you to record the conversation." Dana was quiet for a moment. "Sam, that's pretty devious." "She tried to destroy my career, Dana. She's been planning to take me for everything I'm worth. I think a little deviousness is called for." "Fair enough. When do you want me to do this?" "Today, if possible." 2 hours later, Dana texted me that she'd arranged to meet Clary for lunch at the Olive Garden on Main Street. It wasn't the most elegant location, but it was public, noisy enough to provide cover for recording, and popular enough that there would be plenty of witnesses to whatever happened. I positioned myself at the bar area, where I could see their table, but hopefully remain unnoticed. Zoe was at a table on the other side of the restaurant, also recording on her phone in case we needed backup footage. Dana wasted no time getting to the point. "Clary, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Are you having an affair?" I watched Clary's face carefully. For just a moment, her mask slipped, and I saw panic in her eyes. Then she recovered, arranging her features into an expression of hurt confusion. "Dana, I can't believe you would ask me that. Who's been telling you these lies?" "It's not about what anyone's told me. It's about what I've seen. That video that's been going around, that looked an awful lot like you." "That video is grainy and unclear. It could be anyone." "Clary, I've known you for 12 years. I know how you move, how you gesture, how you flip your hair when you're flirting. That was definitely you in that video." Clary's composure started to crack. "Even if it was me, which I'm not admitting, that doesn't prove anything. Marcus is my trainer. We were probably just discussing my workout routine. Is that what you call it when he had his tongue down your throat? Dana, you're being ridiculous. Sam is obviously having some kind of breakdown, and now he's got you believing his paranoid fantasies. That's when Dana played her trump card. Actually, Clary, Sam didn't tell me about the video. I saw it myself on the neighborhood Facebook page, along with about 300 other people. The color drained from Clary's face. What? Oh, you didn't know it was posted publicly? Yeah. Everyone in Laurel Ridge has seen you making out with Marcus Lane in the gym parking lot. Mrs. Patterson asked me about it at the grocery store yesterday. The mailman mentioned it when he delivered my packages. Even my hairdresser brought it up during my appointment this morning. Clary looked like she was about to be sick. This is a nightmare. It gets worse. I heard from Janet Williams that someone made false accusations about Sam at work. Accusations that got him suspended. Now, I don't know who would do such a thing, but if I were to guess, I'd say it was someone who wanted to make Sam look bad before their own bad behavior came to light. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I also heard that you've been calling family members trying to convince them that Sam is having some kind of mental health crisis. Which seems like a pretty convenient story if you're trying to cover up your own affair. Clary stood up abruptly. I don't have to listen to this. No, you don't. But you should know that the truth has a way of coming out, Clary. And when it does, you're going to have to face the consequences. Clary stormed out of the restaurant, leaving Dana sitting alone at the table. I watched her go, then walked over to my sister. How did I do? Dana asked. Perfect. Did you get it all recorded? Every word. That evening, I had another unexpected visitor. This time it was Tessa, Clary's friend and social media accomplice. Sam, we need to talk. I let her in, curious about what she had to say. Look, I know you and Clary are having problems, but this has gone too far. That video you posted is ruining her life. I didn't post any video. Come on, Sam. We both know you did. And I get it. You're angry. But think about what you're doing. Clary's clients are starting to ask questions. Her business is suffering. Is that really what you want? I studied Tessa's face. She was genuinely worried, but not about Clary's feelings. She was worried about the fallout. Tessa, can I ask you something? Did you know about the affair? She looked uncomfortable. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you know that Clary was sleeping with Marcus Lane? Sam, I really don't think I should get involved in this. You're already involved. You helped her make those false accusations about me at work, didn't you? Tessa's face went pale. I didn't. You were there when she planned it. I have video of the three of you on my front porch, planning something. What was it, Tessa? What did you help her do to me? I need to go. You can go. But you should know that everything is going to come out eventually, and when it does, you're going to have to decide whether you want to be remembered as someone who helped destroy an innocent person's life, or someone who did the right thing. After Tessa left, I called Zoe to fill her in on the day's events. They're starting to panic, she observed. That's good. Panicked people make mistakes. What's our next move? Well, I've been doing some research on Marcus Lane, and I found something very interesting. What? He's not just a life coach and personal trainer. He's also been running a little side business that I don't think his gym would approve of. What kind of side business? The kind where lonely housewives pay him for more than just fitness advice, if you know what I mean. I felt a cold satisfaction settle in my chest. How do we prove it? Leave that to me. I have a plan. Zoe's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. She created a fake social media profile for a wealthy, recently divorced woman named Patricia, who was looking for a personal trainer and life coach to help her get back out there. Within 24 hours, Marcus had taken the bait. He's already suggesting private sessions at his apartment, Zoe reported, showing me the messages on her laptop. And he's being very explicit about what those sessions would involve. That's perfect. But how do we use it? Well, I was thinking we could arrange for Patricia to have a very public meeting with Marcus, somewhere his other clients might see him. We decided on the gym where Marcus worked. Zoe, disguised as Patricia with a blonde wig and different makeup, would arrange to meet him there during peak hours. I would be nearby with a camera, ready to document whatever happened. But before we could execute that plan, Marcus made a mistake that handed us an even better opportunity. On Saturday morning, I was having coffee with Pete at his bar when my phone buzzed with a notification from the neighborhood Facebook group. Someone had posted a new video, and it was already generating dozens of comments. The video showed Marcus's red Mustang parked outside my house at 2 a.m. The timestamp was from the previous night, and the footage clearly showed Marcus and Clary in a heated argument on my front lawn. "Well, that's interesting," Pete observed, looking at the video over my shoulder. "Looks like Loverboy isn't too happy about something." I called Mrs. Chen to thank her for posting the video. "Oh, I didn't post it," she said. "That came from the Hendersons' camera. They were so upset about the noise at that hour that they decided to share it with the neighborhood." The comments on the video were brutal. People were outraged that Marcus and Clary had been having a loud argument in a residential area in the middle of the night. Several neighbors mentioned that this wasn't the first time they'd seen Marcus's car at my house during odd hours. By noon, the video had been shared over 100 times and had attracted the attention of people outside our immediate neighborhood. Someone had identified Marcus by name and tagged the gym where he worked. That's when things started to snowball. The gym's official Facebook page started getting comments asking why they employed someone who was having affairs with married clients. Marcus's personal Instagram was flooded with negative comments. His carefully curated image as a professional life coach was crumbling in real time. But the best part came that evening. I was at home, monitoring the social media fallout, when I heard a commotion outside. Through my window, I could see Marcus standing next to his Mustang, which appeared to be covered in something. I walked outside to get a better look, and I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Someone had covered Marcus's precious car in plastic wrap and then dumped what appeared to be several pounds of glitter on top. The red paint was completely obscured by a rainbow of sparkles that caught the streetlights like a disco ball. But that wasn't all. Someone had also spray-painted "Homewrecker" in large black letters across the windshield. Marcus was standing next to the car with his phone out, apparently trying to call someone. When he saw me, he stormed over. "Did you do this?" he demanded. "Do what?" "Don't play dumb with me. Someone vandalized my car." I looked at the Mustang and shook my head sadly. "That's terrible, Marcus. Have you called the police?" "I'm going to call them right now, and I'm going to tell them that you're the one who did this." "Based on what evidence?" "Based on the fact that you're obviously trying to get revenge on me." "Revenge for what?" Marcus realized he'd walked into a trap. If he admitted that I had a reason to want revenge, he'd have to admit to the affair. If he didn't admit to the affair, he had no motive to pin on me. Just stay away from me," he finally said. "Marcus, I live here. This is my house. If you don't want to see me, maybe you should stop coming to my neighborhood." He stalked back to his car, muttering under his breath. It took him almost an hour to remove enough of the plastic wrap and glitter to make the car drivable, and even then, it looked like a craft project gone wrong. The next morning, photos of Marcus's vandalized car were all over social media. Someone had been recording from across the street and had captured his entire meltdown, complete with profanity-laced rants about crazy neighbors and suburban psychos. The video went viral within hours. By Monday morning, Marcus had been fired from the gym. By Tuesday, 3 of his private clients had canceled their contracts. By Wednesday, his landlord had received enough complaints from other tenants that Marcus was asked to move out of his apartment building. But Clary wasn't going down without a fight. On Thursday evening, she showed up at my house with Julia in tow, apparently for moral support. "Sam, this has to stop. she said the moment I opened the door. What has to stop? The harassment, the social media campaign, the vandalism, all of it. Clary, I haven't harassed anyone, I haven't vandalized anything, and I don't control what people post on social media. You're behind all of this, and we both know it. Actually, I think you're behind all of this. If you hadn't been having an affair, none of this would be happening. Julia stepped forward. Sam, be reasonable. Clary made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve to have her life destroyed. What about my life? What about the false accusations that got me suspended from work? What about the lies she told my family? What about the 12 years of marriage that she threw away for a guy who charges lonely housewives for intimacy? Both women looked shocked at that last accusation. That's not true, Clary said, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? Ask Marcus about his special private sessions. Ask him about Patricia. Clary's face went white. Who's Patricia? Why don't you ask your boyfriend? I'm sure he'll be happy to explain. After they left, I called Zoe to update her on the conversation. She doesn't know about Marcus's side business, Zoe observed. That's interesting. What do you mean? I mean, she thought she was his only extracurricular activity. She's about to find out that she's just one of many. How do we make that happen? Leave it to me. I think it's time for Patricia to make her grand entrance. The final act began on a Friday night at Murphy's Pub, a popular spot in downtown Laurel Ridge, where young professionals went to see and be seen. Zoe had arranged for Patricia to meet Marcus there for drinks, ostensibly to discuss personal training services. I was positioned at the bar with a clear view of their table, nursing a beer and trying to look like just another guy unwinding after work. Pete had agreed to work a shift at Murphy's that night, giving us an ally behind the bar. Marcus showed up first, wearing his best "I'm a successful entrepreneur" outfit and clearly expecting to impress his new potential client. When Zoe arrived as Patricia, he practically jumped out of his chair to greet her. Patricia, you look even more beautiful than your photos. Zoe had really committed to the role. The blonde wig, professional makeup, and expensive-looking dress transformed her completely. She looked like exactly the kind of wealthy divorcee that Marcus would target. Thank you, Marcus. I've heard such wonderful things about your services. They sat down, and Marcus immediately launched into his sales pitch. From where I was sitting, I could hear most of their conversation, and it was exactly what we'd expected. Marcus was being very explicit about the personal attention he could provide, the private sessions that would help Patricia rediscover her confidence, and the special techniques he used with his exclusive clients. What Marcus didn't know was that Zoe was recording the entire conversation on her phone. What he also didn't know was that Clary was about to walk into the bar. I'd sent Clary an anonymous text an hour earlier, claiming to be a concerned friend who thought she should know that Marcus was at Murphy's Pub with another woman. The text included a photo of Marcus and Patricia at their table, looking very cozy. Clary arrived 20 minutes into Marcus and Zoe's conversation, and she was clearly furious. She scanned the bar until she spotted Marcus, then marched over to their table like a woman on a mission. Marcus, what the hell is this? Marcus looked up, his face cycling through several emotions before settling on panic. Clary, what are you doing here? I could ask you the same question. Who is this woman? Zoe looked up with perfectly feigned innocence. I'm sorry, do we know each other? I'm his girlfriend, Clary said, her voice rising. And you're sitting with my man. Your man? Zoe looked at Marcus with confusion. Marcus, you told me you were single. You said you were looking for a special woman to share your life with. Marcus was trapped, and he knew it. Clary, it's not what it looks like. This is just a business meeting. Business meeting. Clary's voice was getting louder, and other patrons were starting to stare. What kind of business meeting involves you telling her about your special techniques? You were listening to our conversation? The whole bar can hear your conversation. That's when Zoe delivered the final blow. Marcus, I'm confused. If this woman is your girlfriend, why did you just spend 20 minutes telling me about all the other women you provide personal services to? You specifically mentioned someone named Jennifer, and another woman named Sarah, and someone called the real estate lady. Clary's face went from red to white in about 2 seconds. What other women? Marcus looked like a deer caught in headlights. Clary, I can explain. Explain what? That you're cheating on me while I'm cheating on my husband for you? The entire bar had gone quiet now. Everyone was watching the drama unfold like it was a live television show. And what did you mean by the real estate lady? Clary continued. Are you talking about Janet Williams, my husband's boss? Marcus didn't answer, but his expression was answer enough. Oh my God, Clary breathed. You're the one who made those accusations about Sam, aren't you? Janet didn't make that complaint based on something she witnessed. She made it because you told her lies about my husband. Clary, calm down. Calm down? Calm down? You ruined my husband's career to cover up the fact that you were sleeping with his boss? The pieces were falling into place for everyone in the bar to see. Marcus hadn't just been having an affair with Clary. He'd been running a whole operation, sleeping with multiple women and manipulating them into doing favors for him. You son of a bastard, Clary said. And then she did something that surprised everyone, including me. She slapped him. It wasn't a gentle slap either. It was the kind of slap that echoed through the bar and left a bright red handprint on Marcus's cheek. The bar erupted in applause. Marcus stood up, holding his face. You crazy bastard! I'm crazy? I'm crazy? You manipulated me into destroying my marriage for you, and then I find out I'm just one of your many side pieces? Ladies and gentlemen, Pete announced from behind the bar, I think it's time for Mr. Lane to leave. 2 of the bar's regulars, both big guys who looked like they'd played football in college, stood up and started walking toward Marcus. I'm going, Marcus said quickly, but this isn't over. He stormed out of the bar, leaving Clary standing at the table, shaking with rage and humiliation. Zoe, still in character as Patricia, stood up and put a comforting hand on Clary's shoulder. Honey, I think we both dodged a bullet tonight. That man is a predator. Clary looked at her with tears in her eyes. I threw away my marriage for him. I destroyed my husband's career. I turned my family against me. And for what? To be just another name on his client list? We all make mistakes, Zoe said gently. The question is what you're going to do about it now. I finished my beer and walked over to their table. Hello, Clary. She looked up at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Genuine remorse. Sam, I'm so sorry. I know you are. How long have you known? Long enough. She looked around the bar, suddenly realizing that dozens of people had witnessed her public meltdown. This is going to be all over social media by tomorrow, isn't it? Probably. My business is ruined. My reputation is destroyed. My marriage is over. I sat down across from her. Your business can recover. Your reputation can be rebuilt. And your marriage, well, that's up to you. What do you mean? I mean that Marcus manipulated both of us, Clary. He used you to get to Janet Williams so he could sabotage my career. He made you think I was the problem in our marriage so you wouldn't feel guilty about the affair. He played us against each other while he was running his little escort service on the side. Clary was crying now, but she was listening. I'm not saying what you did was right, I continued. You made choices that hurt me, that hurt our marriage, that hurt both our families, but Marcus was pulling the strings the whole time. So what happens now? I looked at Zoe, who had quietly removed her wig and was back to being herself. Now we clean up the mess. We tell the truth about what Marcus did. We get my job back. We figure out whether there's anything left of our marriage worth saving. And if there isn't? Then we end it like adults, with honesty and respect. No more lies, no more manipulation, no more games. Clary nodded, wiping her eyes. I'd like that. 3 months later, Marcus Lane left Laurel Ridge in disgrace after being charged with fraud for taking money from clients under false pretenses. Janet Williams issued a public apology and reinstated me with full back pay after learning that her complaint against me had been based on lies. Clary and I went to counseling, but ultimately decided that too much damage had been done to save our marriage. We divorced amicably, splitting our assets fairly and maintaining a friendship that surprised everyone, including us. I'm still with Zoe, who turned out to be even more amazing than I'd realized during our adventure in suburban espionage. We're talking about moving in together, maybe even getting married someday. Dana still orchestrates family gatherings like Broadway productions, but now she includes Zoe in the planning, which has led to some truly spectacular dinner parties. My mother has become one of Zoe's biggest supporters, often commenting that she's so much more genuine than that other one. And Pete still serves as the neighborhood's unofficial therapist and gossip clearinghouse, though he's sworn off getting involved in any more revenge schemes. As for me, I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's letting the truth speak for itself and watching your enemies destroy themselves. Funny thing about revenge, sometimes it's best served with a side of viral video and a trunk full of consequences that your targets created for themselves.